Texan, a filmmaker, Alex Jones, has been promoting a libertarian Bill of Rights culture and fighting the police state for more than 10 years. His documentary films explore the architecture of the ruling elite's control system. Jones is an expert on secret societies, including the cult Skull and Bones, which we've talked about before. He has appeared on several national television programs and played a key role as himself in Richard Linklater's Waking Life. He has produced a total of 10 documentary films and published 2 books related to police state, secret societies, and government-sponsored terrorism. Tonight on Coast to Coast, for the entire program, Alex Jones. Alex, we share a mutual friend, by the way. You know who that is? Nurse Joyce Riley.
Absolutely. She's a wonderful American, and she's very blessed to be able to come on your gigantic radio broadcast and reach so many people. And George, I'm honored to be here. You certainly are not censoring, and you're standing up for the First Amendment, and very daring. You have a lot of courage.
Well, a long time ago in a far-off land, Alex, as I got to know Joyce Riley and began to understand some of the things that she was saying as just gospel and truth, and I started doing my own investigating, I realized that this lady knows what she's talking about. When I started doing Coast to Coast several years ago, I started getting a lot of emails from people who said, George, you gotta listen to Alex Jones. Listen to what he's saying. So I just started looking at your website a couple of years ago and just started monitoring some of the things that you have done. And it intrigues me, Alex. It intrigues me by the way you've done your investigating, by you also sticking your neck out in the noose. And I figured, you know what, it's time to chat with you on Coast to Coast to give everybody an opportunity to hear you, hear some of your views, and also, more importantly, for you to tell us how you were able to do some of the things you've done tonight. And that's what I find to be very fascinating about you. How did this all start for you? I mean, you just didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to start investigating these things. What happened?
I was in college here in Austin, and I would sit there. It didn't matter if it was psychology or math or speech, and it was all world government's good, owning guns is bad, we've got to go into this new world order. And then I would watch the nightly news, and they'd say, anybody that talks about a new world order is insane. It doesn't exist. There's no global government coming. And I'd go, wait a minute, all I'm being told at college here in Austin is that the world government's here and it's wonderful, and you know, we need to have these big giant central banks running everything, and the World Trade Organization and free trade, open borders are good. And so I started researching, and I went down and got a little local cable show, and then I got a little radio show, and I started making documentaries. And basically, you know, at first I was just this conservative, we need to cut taxes, and the Republicans are going to be our saviors. And about 8 years ago, I started figuring out that they were just the other side of the coin. The old adage goes that it's controlled opposition, and that really they fight when it comes to the rhetoric, but the actions are almost identical. It's, I mean, what a great example of Kerry and Bush, who were arguably 16th to 3rd cousins. Different news articles say different things.
That's right.
Both related to Hugh Hefner, and members of the same secret society, this death cult. And I mean, this isn't a real election. This isn't a real choice. And so basically, I would just watch C-SPAN and see a bill passed. I'd read the bill. Then I'd watch CNN and see the opposite being reported, or you know, Fox or any of these channels. And I started just asking questions. And the more questions that I answered, obviously, the more rabbit trails I went down. And then over time, I started seeing, as I call it, the architecture of this system. And now I really do have the big picture. To the point of 2 months before 9/11, I got on my local TV show on the website, and that story is posted on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and I said that there's going to be attacks on Lower Manhattan. It's going to be blamed on the CIA asset, Osama bin Laden, and I said call Congress, call the White House, and tell them to pull off the shadow government, which I want to state is above Bush and above all these people. They're just low-level minions for their overlords. And again, I'm on record laying that out,
yes.
Warning the people. And then 2 years ago, I was at a little meeting and just happened to run into a White House official that I cannot name, and he was bragging that bin Laden had died of kidney failure, had been handed over, that he would be rolled out right before the election. And I put it on the site, on the website, and I said, look, I don't know if this is just info. Why would this person tell me this? And this was in early 2002. And when I talked to the individual, I also said, well, we're about to go into Iraq, aren't we? They were saying it was going to happen in 2002. He said, no, it happens in February or March 2003. That's when it's going to happen. And so when that took place, I said, wow, this was pretty credible. I don't know, they're just giving me this info. Then Madeleine Albright, in December, the former Secretary of State, goes on Fox News and tells somebody in the green room, yeah, we've already got him, we're going to roll him out soon, or that's what Bush is going to do. Then Senator Grassley starts saying it. Then all these other public officials, top military, start saying it. Very, very scary because it's now admitted, but again, this gets put in the back of the paper, and people just remember the big headline, that the Kurds did have Saddam for a month. And they just quietly later admitted that, but then it just got, passed over.
Right.
So over and over again, this is happening, and it's very scary. It'll be a perfect ace in the hole, pun intended, with the Saddam thing, to bring out another ace in the hole, and claim he died in a gun battle or something. And then, of course, his family and the Karloff group and everyone is rewarded nicely for playing along.
A couple of our regular guests, Alex, have reported that bin Laden has already been captured. And I also found it intriguing that Iranian radio a few weeks ago reported that he was captured in Pakistan. And the Pakistanis, of course, jumped up and down and said, no, he's not been captured yet. Yet there continues to filter to all of us, including you, I'm sure, reports of increased activity, and this increased activity is almost as if it's a good example when you do roll them out, because you say, look what we were doing.
Oh yes, our military has taught them. And George, I know you want to get into the Patriot Act and so many different issues, and it's just so amazing to be on your show, one of the biggest shows with one of the best audiences in the entire country. I'm totally honored, as I was saying earlier. But it's important, just for people tuning in for the first time, to understand, I don't have an axe to grind. I'm not a liberal or conservative. I love freedom. I just want the truth. Because what happens is, if I start exposing George Bush or John F. Kerry or somebody, and you criticize somebody on the left, oh, you must be a right-winger. And you criticize somebody on the right, yeah, you must be a communist. And I just want people to know that, again, what I want them to realize is that there really is this man behind the curtain creating this illusion, and if we just cut through that illusion, we can really stop some horrible things from happening, because the shadow government is going to continue to use terror as their pretext with problem reaction solution to really set up a society that makes Brave New World in 1984 look like a happy place to live.
Years ago, Alex, as I was watching television as a kid, there was a TV show that would come on, and it would always begin the program by saying democracy is a poor form of government, but all the others are far much worse. And I used to listen to that, and I used to take that to school with me, and I took it to college with me, and I went, all right, that's absolutely true. It is a poor form of government, but it's the best that's out there. At what point, as Americans, did we begin to start losing the real freedoms that you and I have been able to realize that we've been losing? When do you think it started?
Well, I mean, I think it started day one. Anytime you have a big government, anytime you have powerful individuals, they're going to want more power to expand and maintain the power they already have. And so we've had evils in this country. We've had slavery. We've had what happened to the Native Americans. But as you said, America has been better compared to most other countries, and I love this nation. But at the same time, after the Civil War, that helped centralize power in Washington and start destroying states' rights. And then we had the 17th Amendment that took our senators away from the states and made them their own federal viceroys. And we got the Federal Reserve Act in 1913 that happened at the same time. And so we saw the centralization there. Then we had the War Powers Act, day one, when Roosevelt got in. And he, of course, confiscated the gold and gave people paper back. And then on from that point, 1947 is probably one of the most critical times when the National Security Act was passed, and that's when the shadow government was really able to form. And over the decades, the last 50-plus years, trillions of dollars in the aggregate have gone into this structure, and it has empowered the elites that took over the government at the turn of the last century. It's turned them into just absolutely almost invincible with their advanced technological system.
Now, can we say it's also worldwide?
Oh, of course it's worldwide, but America was so wealthy that we've kind of been used as the energy source for this elite with our ingenuity, our factories, our personnel, to go out and take over the planet for these people.
And it happens very rapidly now. You can feel it. You can see it. There's so many people that we talk to sense something that is going on.
There's a huge acceleration. You're absolutely right.
Let's